On your screen right now is an 805 plus level official data insights question. This is about as difficult as GMAT questions get. What's even more interesting is that despite students spending almost 3 minutes on average trying to solve it, only around 40% managed to get it right. This is data from GMAT Club. So, what makes this question so devilishly difficult? Is it the calculations, the logic, or is there something much more subtle going on? That's exactly what we are going to decode. Hi, I'm Shweta. I've been mentoring students for over 11 years now. I've worked extensively on the data insight section from its IR days to today's DI format, and I've created DI courses and questions for several leading test prep companies. In this Think DI with Shweta series, we'll decode official GMAT Data Insights questions to understand not just the answers, but the thinking behind them. With that, let's dive into today's question. We're going to read the question text and the graph together in conjunction. We'll try to match information. Let's see. The graph shows data for physicians who, in 2000 and 2008, were surveyed about something. About what? The average number of times per month they used each of three methods: telephone, email, and video conferencing to communicate with their patients. So let's identify this much on the graph. It says the physicians were surveyed in 2 years. They were surveyed in 2000 and in 2008. So, yes, I see both of these years here, 1 and 2. And what was the survey about? It was about how many times do you communicate with your patients using each of these three methods: telephone, email, and video conferencing. And you see the same three methods repeating again here. Why? Because it's for 2 years, right? So the first time you see 1, 2, and 3, all of that is about the year 2000. The second time you see 1, 2, and 3, all of that is about the year 2008. All of this is about average number of times they used each of the methods. So you see this box here on the side, which says n times per month. And then n has these possible ranges. N equals 0 would mean 0 times in the month, so not at all. Next category is greater than 0 but less than equal to 1, which means once a month. And then the black category is what? 2 or 3 times a month. And finally, the blue category is anything greater than 4. So 5 or 6 or 7 and so on, these many times a month. So, how do I use all of this together? We'll take one example. Let's take 2000 and let's take the telephone, okay? This particular section. Look at the blue section here first. How much is this? You see, if on the left side I have 20% and 40%, then exact midpoint is 30. This is slightly less than that, but I can say it's very close to 30, it's 28, 29%. But it seems that this is about how many respondents or what percentage of the respondents actually fell into the blue section for telephone. What is the blue section for telephone? Blue section is greater than 4, which means in the year 2000, about 30% of the physicians used the telephone to communicate with their patients more than 4 times. Same way you can read anything else. If you read the white section, which is 0 times a month, this is about 17%. In 2000, 17% of the physicians surveyed did not use the telephone at all to communicate with their patients. And same way you can read any of these sections, right? Let's now try to read the rest of the text and match things. It says the bars represent the percentage of respondents who reported using the indicated method and the indicated number of times per month. Exactly what we understood. This on the left side here is percentage of the respondents only, percentage of your physicians who indicated using these indicated methods, the indicated number of times. Both things are indicated on the graph. Quite a lot is indicated, which is why it can be confusing to understand so much information. Now that we've understood the given information, let's read the questions. This is the first statement. You have to select the drop down choice that makes most sense. It must be the case that. Okay, so we have a certain statement and that must be true. We have to fill it in a way that it's always, always correct. What is it saying? The median number of times per month respondents reported having communicated with patients by telephone, email, video conferencing in the 2008 survey was less than that in the 2000 survey. So much together. That's characteristic of DI. The language is complex, but only for those who don't pause to simplify the language. Try to extract the skeleton out of this. What is it saying? It's the median number of times per month This part, respondents reported having communicated with patients. All of this is the fluff. Yes, this is relevant to the question as a whole. The information, the whole context is about it. But right now, is that part of the skeleton? No. What is the skeleton? Simply say median number of times per month use of the telephone, email, or video conferencing in 2008 was less than that in 2000. So essentially, you are going to calculate the same median twice over. You will calculate the median for telephone in 2008 and 2000, same for email, same for video conferencing, and you just have to see where is it that the 2008 median is less than the 2000 median. That's it. All of it is about median number of times any of these was used. So I'm going to check the first choice here for you. The first one was telephone, right? So I'll calculate the median for telephone. So look at telephone in 2000 first. How do you get median? Median means if I have a list of numbers in order, ascending or descending, then it's the middle term that represents the median. Here, I don't know the number of respondents, yes, but I have the percentage. It is going from 0% to 100%. So if I try to find the middle, median by definition should divide my entire set into two parts, 50-50. Now, again, what's important is that everything is in ascending order or descending order. Now observe white, yellow, black, blue. The order is always the same in all of them. And when you look at the legend on the right hand side, white, yellow, black, and blue is indeed increasing order of the number of times it is used. So if you go from top to down, then it is in ascending order anyway. And if you go from down to the top, then it's descending order. So both ways it's arranged. So, median is interested only in the 50% mark. You don't have to do actual calculations. What does this mean? How do you read this? Telephone, you see the 50% line passes through the black section, which means the median for telephone is 2 or 3 in the year 2000. And what about in the year 2008 now? In 2008, this middle line is passing through the yellow section, which is n as 1. So the median has indeed dropped, which means we already have our answer. We wanted that category where the median drops, right, from 2000 to 2008. And therefore, your answer for the first drop down is telephone. Now let's see the second one. All right. This says it must be the case that, so again, you're looking for a statement that's always, always true. This is your statement. The percentage of respondents who reported having communicated with patients by both A and B was as great or greater. As great means the same, or greater means greater. So it's actually just trying to say greater than equal to in 2008 as it was in 2000. So I'll figure out what the quantity is, but it's trying to really say that the 2008 value was greater than or equal to the 2000 value. It's talking about the percentage of respondents who reported having communicated by both of these options. What does this mean? Now, this is where I've seen a lot of people get confused. When they see telephone and email, a lot of people interpret this to mean that you are going to check separately for telephone and for email. You will see the percentages for both of them, and then you will compare both percentages in 2000 with the individual percentages in 2008, and then you'll decide. But that's a misinterpretation of the question here. When it says communicated with patients by both, then you're talking about those respondents who, for example, used telephone and email both. It's the overlap I am talking about, not looking at the two categories separately. That's a very important thing to understand. I'll help you test this by checking the choices. What you really want to see now for the first choice, for example, is that I am interested in those physicians, that percentage of physicians who communicated by using telephone and email, the overlap between these. Now, that overlap itself should be in 2008 greater than or equal to the one in 2000. So, let's see how we can get that overlap. Okay, let's go back to our graph here. So, first pair, telephone and email. Let's try to figure out the overlap in the year 2000. Those physicians who used both. Remember, you don't know anything about what is the commonality between them generally. So, we'll have to visualize situations. Think about all of those physicians who reported to using the telephone at all. basically excluding the white section for telephone. You take everything else below that. This yellow line ends up somewhere here, say 83%. So I can say that out of all of the physicians, 83% physicians used the telephone in some degree, no matter how many times a month. Then, same way, when I look at email, it's a much smaller percentage, right? It's just this portion. Say this is 17%. So, email, 17% of the physicians used it. Now, overlap is this. These are the physicians who used both the telephone and the email. Now, can I uniquely find this value? No. But can I find a range in which this will lie? Absolutely. Maximum overlap is always when one category is contained within the other. So, all of the physicians who used email also used the telephone, one within another. So, maximum overlap is 17%, say. Minimum overlap is if you try to make them completely disjoint. Can you do that? Well, with the numbers I took, 83 and 17, you can because it doesn't cross 100. Otherwise, you can have a very small overlap. Say you took 18% for E, you would then need to have a 1% overlap. So I'm just going to assume it's somewhere close to that 1% mark, which is your minimum overlap. So I just have a range of my overlap. Same way, if I try to figure out that range of overlap for 2008, what's it going to be? So in 2008, telephone was used by 80% of the physicians. So clean number to read, while email was used by, again, a clean number, 40% of the physicians. This time, your maximum overlap is going to be 40% when email is inside telephone. Minimum overlap has to be 20%. Why? 80 plus 40 is 120. That crosses 100. That's not possible. So that extra 20% has to be the overlap. Now, I'll put that here and help you compare. Do you see the entire range guaranteed is less than equal to the range for 2008? Which means even if I take the maximum here and the minimum here, this relationship is still preserved. So you have the first choice here only that's working for you. So the fact that it's about both, but the information you have is not about both, that made it a very tricky question. That was the layer that mostly gets missed out. So every word in your question matters. Somebody who doesn't understand the data set completely cannot imagine solving this efficiently. I hope this helps. Study the right way, prepare the right way. Do not take shortcuts that will not help you on the test. Let's do it right.